This is a test of the Boundary Park alert system.
Hi, I'm just here. What's your name, pal?
Ben.
So, Ben, first 2 games under Mickey Millen, 1 win, 1 loss. What are your thoughts?
I think it's too early to say anything, really. I think they were shocking on Tuesday night, really bad. But it's going to take a while, innit? It's not a quick fix, is it, these sorts of things? So,
do you think he needs new signings?
I mean, it's not been addressed for the past season, has it? We needed a right back at the start of the season, we haven't got one. We need a creative midfielder, we haven't got any. You know, Lundstrom's good. I like Sheridan, I know a lot of people don't. Sutton's good centre half, he's not a right back. Freeman's played, 20 games in 5 years? It's pretty poor planning, isn't it?
It's frustrating, isn't it? Because every team is targeting Will Sutton at right back. I know he's getting hung out to dry, isn't he? Who's responsible for that? Is that the board or is that the manager? We haven't got an head of recruitment anymore. Do you think that there's something behind the scenes saying there's no more players coming in or what?
I think probably, for me, there's maybe too much control for the management. Unsworth and Steve Thompson were in charge when the season started. Every fan knew what we needed, and yet we're signing Norwood, we're signing Dan Ward, we're signing players like that. We don't need these players, do we? We need a good right back. You know, we signed all these players for X amount of money and whatever else, and we've still got Will Sutton playing at right back. Will Sutton will go on to play at a high level for me at centre half. It's a shame because he gets hung out to dry by the fans on social media. Because if
he's not putting the performances in, he should be dropped, shouldn't he?
He should be dropped as a right back. Who else have we got?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You play Shelton at right back, but I mean, I'd rather play with 10 men to be honest. But
What score?
I'm going to get splinters, but 1-1.
1-1. Hi, I'm just here. What's your name, pal?
Josh Stolberg.
All right, so you're on the world famous Boundary Park alert system fan zone with sexy Dave Bradley. What are you thinking? First 2 games on the Mellon.
Well, I couldn't get to the game at Rochdale. Didn't get the season ticket holder. Didn't manage to get a ticket, so I had to listen to that one. Sounded pretty good. And then went to Bowd on Tuesday, and wow. I think if we could still be playing now, we wouldn't have scored.
So, what do you think he needs, Mellon? Do you think he obviously needs time, and I think there's not even a question of time. What does he need to get this team going?
I think we can all see that he needs to sort out right back. I've seen that Freeman's playing today, so that looks pretty good. If he can get the midfield ticking, and if McGahey sort of sit in front of the back 4 works well, that would be good. He needs to settle, I think, on the striker situation. Obviously, we're carrying so many at the moment. He's got to work out what the best combination is, and if it's just one with people behind, or if it's 2, and if it's Norwood and someone else.
Do you think it's a case of waiting for Dan Ward and see what he's like before they get another midfielder in?
It's tricky because Lundstrom's come in. I think everyone was waiting on Lundstrom coming in. It's not quite worked with Lundstrom.
Do you think? I think he's done very well since he's come in.
I think he's done well, but he's not flipped it around. I think we thought, well, Lundstrom's going to be the missing cog, and it's not quite there. He needs someone to work with. Whether or not that's going to be Ward, I don't know. I think Lundstrom is going to be a feature of that midfield once it's in, but it's a question of who he's going to be.
He seems to be covering 2 positions when Sheeran and Shelton are playing, because that just doesn't work, does it? It just doesn't work.
Yeah, I was surprised that they had Sheeran and Shelton starting on Tuesday night. You think that it would have been some recognition from those that have gone before and from Murray and whoever else is here to say that it hasn't worked when it's been going on. I mean, we ended up on Tuesday, with sort of Lundstrom on the right hand side and Sutton at right back, and it was like watching the centre of the park, but just all sort of loaded over to the right. It just didn't work, and it was completely lopsided.
What score today, dare I ask?
I'm going to optimistically say it will click today and we'll win 2-0, but it really could be anything one way or the other, I think.
Hello, welcome to the Boundary Park alert system with me, Matt Dean, and Andy Halliwell. Good morning, Andy.
I'll confess, I was slightly concerned when I saw that you were out last night and you've got a gig somewhere. I thought that 11:30 start's not happening, and here we are.
It's even though it's actually technically 12:30 on the old clock. It's 11:30 now. It doesn't feel any. It feels. To be fair, I've actually been out for a walk, walked to the shops, walked the dog, walked back. I've done a bit this morning. That extra hour was good. Yeah, I had a gig last night. So the thing is, it really as well, because I'm not getting old now. On Friday night, I went to see the Chemical Brothers at the arena. So danced like it was 1999 for 2 hours. But I had a reasonably quiet night. And then went to the match yesterday. I'm not going to lie. Midway through the second half, I'd lost the will. I was falling asleep. I was really struggling. Then I went home and had a nap. Middle-aged tales on the Boundary Park alert system. And then did a gig at the Bull's Head, which was, even though it was Halloween, I wasn't prepared for it to be quite so much like a graveyard in there, but it was quite a quiet one. And then up this morning for the pod, and then this afternoon we've got another gig at the Church Inn in Waterhead straight after the Manchester Derby. So I'm expecting that to be a lively one. So. It's all go. What about you, Andy? How's your weekend been?
Nowhere near as complicated as that. I've just been chasing 2 young little kids around mainly.
So the usual then. Usual. Did you manage to? You wouldn't watch the match then, would you, yesterday?
No, but I had the pleasure of listening to it on BBC Radio. So I didn't listen to Latics commentary. So I didn't listen to Roy and Mikey. Yeah. So I listened to so I've got their perspective to share. Well, should we do the fan guest questions before we go?
Let's do it. Yeah, absolutely. I need to reply to a text, so it's perfect. Crack on.
You crack on. We'll have a chat.
Yeah. No, it's
When was your first game?
May 1990, back end of the season, and my first full season was the title-winning season as a 6-year-old boy. So thought football was easy. Following Oldham at the start.
Oh yeah, what a baptism of fire that is to coming out at 6. You're probably slightly too young to remember it vividly, aren't you? At 6, but
well, to be honest, I remember more then than I do in the last 10 years. But I think I've got rid of that because of how bad it's been. So
yeah.
I can remember more then than I can now.
What a time to start. Who's your first favourite player then?
It's Andy Ritchie. My son's called Richie, so that'll tell you everything.
Amazing. That'll give away who you are to some people, I'm sure. What's your favourite Latics related memory?
Do you know what? As bad as it's turned out, I'd have to say it was 94, and the treatment I got at school before the game. My teacher was an Oldham season ticket holder, and I was allowed the Friday off, even though the game wasn't until the Sunday. They let me have the Monday off, and I think that was our time then, and it was. I think last Saturday is probably the best it's been for me for at least a good 10, 15, maybe the Dowie days. That's how bad it's been for me following Latics.
Yeah, no, it has, yeah. And then the last question is a little unknown fact about yourself.
I haven't really got any, but I do tell people, and they do believe me, believe it or not, and it is that the Bourne identity is loosely based on my uncle's exploits in the 70s. And it tends to work that. So yeah, my uncle Jason.
There's no truth to that at all. It's just
there's no truth to that. There is. Apparently, my dad told me that in the film Zulu, Colour Sergeant Bourne is a distant relation. But my dad told me a lot of stuff when I was younger that I didn't believe him. So I've never gone with it.
And you're not a descendant of the Bourneville chocolate name or anything like that?
No, I eat enough of it to be part of it, but no, I think that's Birmingham Midlands way, that, isn't it?
Yeah,
so.
I think your surname has now been well and truly discovered.
And
so
used. Yeah,
introduce
definitely. Yourself. My name's Matthew Bourne, affectionately known as Borny.
Welcome to the pod.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, welcome. Yeah. Can I just share what I used to do as well? Just got a while. It reminded me of this. When I first moved to London, I used to pretend I was a relation of Jerry Halliwell because I got ginger hair. It used to get me access to nightclubs sometimes.
Really? Oh well, I've never traded on. There's no. I mean, apart from James Dean. I've never tried to claim to be a distant relative of him or anything like that. Anyway, let's crack on. So, yeah, football. We've managed to get through the first 5.5 minutes without really talking too much about it. What a week. Borny last Saturday was magic. It
was.
They had it all. What a thriller. Tuesday night was absolutely abysmal. And then somewhere in the middle was yesterday at home to Altrincham. Were you at the match?
Yes, I was. I went to all three the last week, so we've had every emotion in 7 days, haven't we?
Yeah.
So, but the last Saturday was brilliant. We could have won the game a lot easier than what we did, but we Oldham Athletics it, didn't we?
Yeah.
Tuesday, you would have thought Lemzigans was still in charge and the players had been paid for 6 months.
Yeah.
There was just not one performance from any of them. And then yesterday, we could have, first 10, 15 minutes, the game could have been over. They scored what the goalie did. We scored a great, obviously the goal we scored, that was class. 2 players there, Freeman and Norwood. They were the only 2 on the pitch who could produce that in that small pocket of space. And then for some reason, the referee decides to give a penalty that nobody and no one, I've shown the video to loads of people and they still don't understand what's gone on. I think the biggest thing is the reaction of the striker of the Altrincham who's on the left-hand side. When the whistle goes, he turns and walks back to his own half thinking it's a free kick to us, and that says it all for me.
Yeah, I got a really good view of it, and it definitely hit Hallam Hope's arm or hand.
But
like, I mean, whether
you're basically saying that he's gone in to tackle with his hand, and he hasn't. It's a wet pitch. Momentum took him. If that was in the Premiership, VAR would rule that out after 10 seconds.
Yeah. And he was very, very keen to give it, one of the referee.
Straight away. Yeah, definitely. But it's been apparent most home games this season. The referee seems to want to make, they want to make it about them. You look at the decision we had against Halifax with Fondop's elbow. We just don't seem to get it. But at the end of the day, we shouldn't be having to rely on referees' decisions. Should we go and get in the games won?
Didn't King of the Law Dave Bradley explain the rule and circle it and tweet it He basically.
I had a few beers last night, so I stayed off Twitter just in case I said anything.
Wise.
I think what he said yesterday when I spoke to him in the game, a little video. You can't really hear it because it was half time, but it was. He said something along the lines like, "By the letter of the law, it was a penalty, but the referee's still a twat." Was his words. So I think that sums up the rest of his performance. But like maybe by the book, it was a penalty because I think the thing is that he gained advantage from it. Gained an advantage from it. I think that's basically the gist of it. But anyway, it was annoying because that Con Clark scored and he'd been giving it a bit of verbal and that and been a bit cocky.
He's some player, he'd fit lovely in our team, wouldn't he, if we could get him. He's probably the type of player we're missing. Yeah,
he's that kind of playmaker, creative, and he got that low centre of gravity and like
Jack Byrne-esque.
Harry Vaughan, that kind of thing. But we've seen it all this week. I mean, I think we should probably mention the game on Tuesday night at Fyle because it was all set up. We'd had a Lancashire derby on the Saturday, and your atmosphere is never the same on a Tuesday night, but it was still a Lancashire derby in terms of geography. It's not what you would call a derby fixture, Oldham v Fyle, but a Lancashire game. We took big following. You never get the same atmosphere, but it was it was all set up, and what I don't understand what was going on. But the thing is, Fylde won 4-0. The big Gateshead 4-0 yesterday, didn't they? Which is a tremendous result.
4? I thought it was 2, wasn't it? 2 when I last looked. I haven't seen
my mum told me before. I haven't actually looked, but that's what my mum said. But yeah,
anyway. Talking, I'll look.
The thing is that they actually won again.
4-0. It was 4-0. Yeah.
Right, so that's a tremendous result. Gateshead have just lost their manager, Annie Williamson's just gone to MK Dons. So they've obviously hit some form, and they had far more passion, more energy, more movement than we did.
They wanted it more, didn't they? Yeah, they just wanted it more. Every tackle, every pass, they pressed, they chased, they did everything that you wanted to see in your own side.
Yeah,
and we just were at the races. Obviously, Hogan did what he did, and it changed the game. I personally think we should have gone when Hogan went off. I think Green should have been pulled because he was on a yellow. Should have brought Fondop on, and we should have just went direct because I think if we'd have scored, I think they might have wobbled and we might have got something out of the game. But we persisted with one up front and Norwood, and he was getting frustrated and he was dropping deep, and it was just you might as well just took Norwood off.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously the crowd needed that, didn't they? The crowd needed something to cheer, get behind, get the crowd going and get the noise going in there because, they had no noise. They had a little pocket.
Yeah, it was very subdued Tuesday night, very subdued.
It really was. And again, yesterday, the atmosphere was kind of we're in that's the phase that we're in. We're in that phase where the fans don't really know what to expect. It's like they can't get banged up for stuff because of the kind of performance that we put in on Tuesday. And they're not quite sure, new manager. We know at this stage now that the team is inconsistent at best. I think the formation yesterday was better. I'm glad we played the way we did. I'm good. Like you said, you mentioned Freeman. Thought Freeman had a good game. It was good to have a proper right back on the pitch.
Yeah, you
thought
could tell
did
in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, Miguel did all right. He's very vocal. He's an organizer. I like seeing that. I actually thought Hallam Hope had quite a good game again yesterday. I thought his movement was really good off the ball. I thought he was like, he when you watch him, he's all over the place. He had a good chance as well. He nearly scored he had a good chance in the first half, didn't he?
He should have buried that. He should have buried it. Yeah, definitely.
But I thought since he's come back, he's looked more lively. You get much more of a shift out of him than you do out of Green, who was a bit better in the second half, but wasn't. He was at fault for their first goal, actually.
He's a good pro, Hallam Hope. You can tell, because like you say, you can ask him to do a job. You put him at right back, he'd probably do a job. But he's not that creative spark you need in that position. We need someone over there who's going to create something out of nothing. And we just didn't seem to have that yesterday.
No. Well, we're looking at what the options were for substitutions. Because, again, I would have taken Green off yesterday. But there's just no one to put in his place. Like, the bench just didn't have an option. And it was kind of like... What do we do here? Really, it was always going to be a case of bringing one of the strikers off. Joe Nuttall again did absolutely nothing yesterday. He was virtually ineffective.
He did, but if you watch the first goal, we don't score the first goal if he doesn't press the defender like he does. He wins the ball back out of nothing, and then Lundstrom works a bit of magic in the corner, and we end up getting a goal out of nothing. But
it's not enough, though, is it? Over 90 minutes?
No, not over 90 minutes. No, I'd be interested to know what Willoughby's done, because this is another manager that's come in now. And he can't even make the match day 16. So there must be something behind the scenes systematically wrong with him, or Mellon just doesn't fancy him. But I thought yesterday he was probably the sub you wanted to bring on yesterday. Fresh legs, busy body up front. But again, he can't make the bench, can he?
No. I don't know if you heard BBC Manchester. You might have heard it, Andy, if you were listening to it. Did you hear the former Rochdale manager's assessment of the game?
Yeah, I've written them all. I've written everything down. That was the point.
Excellent. What?
Because I listened to the whole commentary. I mean, Steve Eyre, he irritates me. Steve Eyre, I don't know why. I don't think he likes Latics. I always imagine he's applied for the job about 4 times and never got an interview, and he's just got the arse with us. But anyway, these are the things that he said that I wrote down. He said. Alty look like they've got better technical footballers than Oldham, right?
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Disagree with that, I say, but they've got better technical footballers. And you just think about that. You've got basically a team that was part-time until about a year and a bit ago, right? Have got better technical footballers than we have. It's too easy for Altrincham to get to Oldham's box, whereas conversely, Altrincham are quite compact as a back four, and we can't get to their box. So we go down the flanks, and the delivery from the flanks are poor. It's really ugly from Oldham. They're not a good passing team. They don't really pass the ball. Even when we're passing the ball, it looks awkward and like we're about to lose it any minute. It's not smooth passes between the players. I'm paraphrasing a bit, but this is broadly what he said. Oldham haven't got any players who will run, and they haven't got a single player who can sprint.
Wow.
There's a lack of movement to Oldham and a lack of bravery on the ball. 4-4-2 and your 2 straight lines is too easy to play through. Right? These are all things he's saying. Newbit and Conclair would walk into Oldham's team. Those were all the things he said. He absolutely lambasted us. He kept trying to sort of temper his hatred for us by saying, I expect them to get better. I expect Mickey Mellon to make them better and all that sort of stuff. But if you just, because when I'm looking on Twitter and listening to the match myself, I'm not necessarily getting the same impression as he was giving, because we seem to have a lot of the ball and we seem to play obviously better than we did in midweek. And so a lot of people were saying actually it was quite a good performance. I think sometimes, well, if that's an independent view, if he's not being biased, then we're accustomed to such rubbish that actually we're slightly better than rubbish. We think we've done all right. That seems to be the sort of feeling. But for me, the bits that I sort of take from that and consider as like fair and reasonable is, we know we don't retain the ball well. We know we don't pass the ball around very well. We know we've got no one to pass through the lines. And these are the fundamental failures of recruitment over the summer. Now, apportion blame Unsworth or at Thompson or at the pair of them. We have not recruited properly, in my opinion. So the issue for midweek is, I mean, that was just classic Latics in midweek. I watched it on the stream, absolutely abysmal at Fylde. But I'm not blaming. I took your point where you said on the, I think on the phone in that he could have changed it and he didn't. So in-game management, maybe you could criticise. But these are the players that he's presented with. This is what we're going to get until we sign better players. We're just going to get. We'll play well one week, then we'll be crap the next, and we just don't have recruitment has not been good enough. And so to Matthew's point there is I'm absolutely perplexed by Willoughby. Completely, I don't get it. He's either rubbish, and if he is, our scouting is therefore rubbish. Or
I don't think rubbish players score the amount of goals he scored in just one league below us last season. So I don't think it's that. I think it could just be a case of his face don't fit. Might be attitude, which we would have, we're not privy to that kind of stuff. No. But going back to what you were saying, Andy, in terms of what Steve Eyre was saying, you can't not agree with what he's saying, but we've had to play 3 quarters of the season with Sheeran and Shelton in midfield, and hopefully we've turned a corner now. We've got 3 players who are going to come back into the team in Ward, Gardner and Dickinson, who can comfortably play in that midfield role alongside Sheeran, who yet again proved yesterday, without Shelton alongside him, he's an 8 out of 10. Put Shelton next to him and he's a 4 out of 10.
He played well yesterday, Sheeran, didn't he?
He pulled that goal out of absolutely nowhere. And it was
he was very busy. He was winning tackles. He was getting stuck in, and he played well.
He was the third man in the box. I watched it because I kept my eye on him because I thought Lundstrom was going to be the one that bombed on yesterday, but it was Sheeran. He was the third man on the edge of the box nearly every time we attacked, and it was good to see.
I think the points that he made, Steve, about our passing, it is laboured. It doesn't get they call it transitioning through the phases and that, don't they? But it doesn't get from back to front quick enough. We saw Fylde do it really, really easily through us. I think the point about getting through Oldham too easy is correct. I think Altrincham did it as well. Like their first goal, it was against the run of play insofar as we had more of the possession. But for the first time that they really went through the gears and went through us, they got through us and scored, and it was too easy. Like I said,
we stood off them and allowed him to cross.
That was the other thing that Steve Eyre said. There was a point yesterday where Alty had a player off the pitch. They were down to 10 men while he was receiving treatment, and apparently Steve Eyre said he was off the pitch for 5 minutes. So we had the opportunity to create an overload, 11v10, just push a further player up, and we have an extra man. And he said we spent at least 3 minutes of that 5 minutes passing it from left to right around the back four,
side to side. Yeah, we did. Yeah.
And that's about intelligence, isn't it? I think with the point about recruitment is that we haven't recruited for a system. Like we still we don't know. Like this team, it's like on against Rochdale against Rochdale we played 4-1-4-1 and it worked, right? So it really, I think what happens is it depends on who we're playing as to how successful we're going to be. Because we played the same system against Fylde, with the only change being obviously bringing Shelton in for McGay for. And it would you know what I'm saying anyway. So we played the same system and it didn't work. It failed spectacularly. And then yesterday we played 4-4-2, and it was an improvement on Tuesday, but it's still not perfect. So it's like we and like I was saying, in game in terms of the options, it's really difficult to say, right, well, what's plan B? When you haven't got a solid plan A, I think finding a plan B is like virtually impossible. So it's really tough. I obviously expected like the recruit, like the transition from last season to this season to be better than it was, and I think I based that on the fact that I thought we'd recruit better, more methodically, with more purpose. And it seems that we just haven't. I think when he was talking about pace, Andy, there was a moment yesterday where James Norwood got the ball, sort of in the sort of number 10 position. And he actually burst through with some pace, right? He actually put the burners on and he went through. And it was like a moment of like, because like I said, I've been struggling, I've been dozing a little bit. And I was like, all of a sudden it's like, oh, wow. And it was that injection of pace from James Norwood that it was unexpected. And it's absolutely right. We don't have somebody who gets on the ball and bursts forward with some pace and control and goes past people, and then the team gets up with pace to join him. It's all very, very slow, very, very laboured. And I think fundamentally what we have to remember now from Mickey Mellon before, people start making it personal about him is he's got a lot of work to do. He's got money to spend. You talk about some of those players walking into our team, Bonnie, like we should be going around now with our budget, cherry picking the best players from teams like Altrincham for next season and spending what we need to spend.
And fire, right? We've already done that. So we've taken Dan Ward, we've taken Josh Lundstrom, we've taken Kurt Willoughby, taken Hobson. They're 4 of the best players in those teams. 3 from the same division, 1 from the division below. We've already done it, but without necessarily putting the jigsaw pieces together. We've also
we need to do it more. We need to do more of it, then, don't we? That's the thing.
I know, but you have to assume potentially that we've done the budget. Budget spent. This year's budget could already be gone. Right? There has been no. If you notice, there's been no particular. There's been no particular signal in terms of in any of the interviews that Mellon's done that, I'm having a look at a couple of players. We might get one in the next couple of weeks. A bit like Unsworth would constantly tell you who's talking to players he might bring in. He's not said a single word, not any interview has he indicated that. There's been no suggestion from, the Rothwells don't necessarily come out and say very much, as is their way, but there's been no indication from the board of directors, from anybody in interviews that we're looking at signing players. There's been no rumours that from leaked to the Oldham Times that are saying we're looking at X, Y player. I'm not saying we're not, but it could be that we're done and all that budget is spent. And so if that's the case, this is it until the summer, next summer. And he can either tries to get something out of this or otherwise. Yeah, I guess the other thing we haven't mentioned recently is Junior Lawamba has signed for Salford, played in one of the Pizza, Papa John's, whatever it is, games the other week against Stockport. I assume we've got some money for him because we did offer him a contract, and I think therefore there'll be some money for that. And we've sold Aaron Atkinson from the youth setup to Barnsley, which I presume will be some money. He looks like a prospect. I don't know about you, but every time we sell a youth prospect to Barnsley, it just irritates me. It gives me an itch because I'm like, that's Barnsley, for crying out loud. We're about the same size as Barnsley. Obviously, I understand the league differences, but it still irritates. But either way, we must have got some money in for those two. Admittedly, probably not enough to make a substantive difference. But we're going to have to move players on, I feel. I don't think we're going to be able to sign anyone. We're going to have to get rid of, if Nuttall is not... I'm disappointed in Nuttall. I thought there was a player in there. Looks like I'm wrong. Fondop, I don't think he's good enough. So there's 2 players you probably want to try and move on.
Tollett's one that could easily be moved on. I don't think we'd miss him.
Shelton. Is Devine Green consistent enough? Is Devine Green, that much of an upgrade on Jack Stobbs? As much as it's terrible to say, these are the issues that we face. So if we're going to compete, we're going to have to move like 5. We did that the pod squad episode in the summer, didn't we? Where we went through all the players in the contracts, all those been offered them.
And I think we'll be doing it again, Andy.
Well, yeah, pretty much. I don't think there's space. I don't think we can afford it. And you've got to bear in mind that there are other costs that the club, we're already set a budget for the year to be in deficit. The Rothwells expect to make a substantial loss this season already. I think that could be it. So we're going to have to sort of batten down the hatches and hope that they solve the recruitment problem. Because the risk is, if you leave it to Mellon and Brabin to do it without a sort of an independent third party like a Steve Thompson, I know that model didn't work, but I don't think the model's wrong. It didn't work in that instance. We need to try and fix it so that recruitment's better. Because you look at Altrincham, like Con Clark was on loan at Altrincham last season, wasn't he? He was on loan for the first half of the season, and then Andy Pilley, the Fleetwood owner, sent him to Waterford because he owns that club on loan for the second half of the season. He clearly didn't want to go. But Con Clark looked like a player in the first half of last year.
Oh, he completely bossed the game that we lost at their place last season.
Right. So if you were if recruitment was looking to sign, we've just been ignoring. If we think that Con Clark, I'm not saying it is the answer, but if we think he would have made a material difference, why did we go and sign, half of the players we signed and not have a look at Con Clark beforehand?
This is why we need a manager in situ for a period of time, a significant period of time. This is why we all wanted David Unsworth to work out, because at that moment in the club's development, that's what we needed. We needed somebody who knew what they were doing and was recruiting the right players and building the right infrastructure and team around him. And it's just not happened. So now it's Mickey Mellon's turn, and hopefully it's no doubt been a huge learning curve for everyone involved at the club, from the back room, the board, and everybody else, and it has to work. And I think we just have to hope that this season we get enough good performances out of the existing players to keep us in the playoff hunt as the season goes on. I think I don't know. I'm not sure if I agree that there wouldn't be the opportunity to sign any more players. I think that if they can make the space in the squad and Mickey Mellon can do, and his team can do a bit of wheeling and dealing and get a few people out who we don't need and all that, then I think they'll probably. I can't imagine that there won't be improvements made, especially if it's a case of we're in the playoff hunt. Like the purpose on a page is to help to do everything to win football matches. So that is ultimately the target.
In response to what you said, Andy, in terms of Mellon not really in his media snippets, because he has spoke a lot and he's spoke well ever since he's come in and he's not mentioned any players. My positive spin on that is maybe the players he wants are available till the transfer window opens in January, and that'll allow him. He's got a good 6 weeks now to assess who he wants to keep, and then he's got 6 weeks to try and shift some players, 6-7 weeks, and then I think we're only 1 or 2, maybe 3 additions and 3, a bit of pace out wide, someone else in the midfield as cover for Sheeran and Gardner. Because when Gardner, we get 3 games out of Gardner, it's 3 good games rather than, 3 games with Shelton in the midfield. And if we could just find a bit of creative spark, I don't think we're a million miles away. Because I think we've got one of the strongest defences we've had for a long time. Now, I hope Freeman gets a run of games now. I hope he does, because he looked class yesterday, and he's not clicked a ball for nearly 2 months, and he showed his class. Kitchen's kitchen, and we've got the choice of 4 centre halves. That it wouldn't bother me which 2 they played. Hobson's first name on the sheet now every week, regardless. But
he played really well yesterday.
He's played well since he got in, and you know what I mean.
Shall we just hear from Mickey Mellon, because Dave had a chat with him after the game yesterday. So let's have a listen.
Park alert system. Guaranteed 3 things in life, aren't you? Death, taxes, and crap referees. They were bad, weren't they? He was bad.
Yeah, I don't want to. I'm never standing here and look for excuses. I just try and be dead honest. I won't try and be pooies. I have to be careful what I say. Or try and bravado you. I'll say what I see.
He made it all about him, didn't he?
Yeah, and I mean, the game stop-start, and he's doing more talking to players than anything and stopping the flow of the game. We want to see football. Yeah. We want to see guys playing football. And he's certainly frustrated today. But it's like, I don't know, it's really disappointing. But I will speak for the fans and say I felt your frustration about him.
Yeah, I thought today, if you looked at the 2 teams in the positions in the league, it looked like Oldham were in the playoff spot and Alty were struggling. They were hanging on at times. Our possessional play in the first half and through the phases of the game was outstanding, wasn't it? Would you agree?
Yeah, I do. And I will say that there's things that we want to get better at. But you have to give the players credit, because we've only just met. They've had 3 managers in the space of, 5 weeks, is it? And I'm hoping that people are seeing what we're trying to do and what we're trying to be good at. And we'll just keep building forward. But I thought that there was a lot of good performances today, and we definitely deserve to take something from the game. Disappointed we didn't take all 3 points by scoring. If somebody had said you come here and score 2 goals at Boundary Park, you think you win that, don't you? And I think that's the way that things have got to be going forward. But positives, loads of positives, great support, team that's looking to play the right way. Stuff to be improved upon, which again is a positive, because that team can play better than that. So, yeah, just positives. But we obviously want to win every game for the supporters. But we'll keep going. And
James Norwood's finish was brilliant. And then Nathan Sheeran, was that like a young Mickey Mellon back in the day? Do you think?
I can't even remember him. No, it was a terrific strike and well deserved. And I felt frustrated for the players and the supporters at the end, because I think everybody felt that we deserved that a wee bit more, but we'll keep going, and everybody knows what we're trying to do, and everything was good apart from the result.
And the credit to Matt Hudson in the game, it was 2-1. I think it could have gone to 3-1, but he pulled off a fantastic save, didn't he?
Oh yeah, just before half time.
Yeah,
but I think he's a terrific goalkeeper. I think we've got an unbelievable goalkeeper there, a real asset. He's impressed us ever since we came in the door. I think he was brilliant as well at Fylde. and kept the score probably competitive. He was probably one of the only ones that could come out that with any credit. So it doesn't. The greatest credit I could pay him is that I'm not surprised that he makes saves like that, because I think he's a brilliant goalkeeper. In fact, I just think that that's just running the mill for him. He's that good, and I'm pleased that he's playing for us at Oldham.
And you've now had 3 games. Have you had now time to assess the current crop of players that we've got? Do you think there's any additions needed?
Assessing, I think we know what a good team looks like, so we're working towards that. And then what we'll do is we'll look at the players that think that it will take us to that place. So we'll keep looking around and giving the lads the opportunity to do that. But if we're going to go on this journey that I expect us to go on, we're always going to have to either make the players that we've got better, or we'll always have one eye on the outside to maybe bring in to make the team better. And that's what it'll be for a while now, because we want to keep driving this club forward and keep taking it to a place that we all want to do that. And that's what's going to have to happen, is the players that we've got are going to have to continually improve. But they're in a good place at the minute, but we'll always have one eye on the outside to see what we can do to try and improve the team all the time.
Thanks, Mickey. Well done today. Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
See you later.
Sexy Dave there, getting the questions in that you wanted to hear the answers to, Andy. Eh? I hadn't even listened to that interview prior to then, so myself. So I think what he said there about taking players on the journey, that was what I was referring to when I heard the Steve Eyre talk yesterday. His exact words were, "I don't think there's many players on that pitch for Oldham that will be going on the journey with Mickey Mellon," and I don't think that Mickey Mellon did much to counter that yesterday. Really, what he said was that I think from that interview then with Dave, he's like, the players that he's got are going to have to buck up if they want to go on that journey. When that journey means through the leagues, obviously. So I think there's no doubt that recruitment, apart from goalkeeper, obviously he's very impressed with his goalkeeper. But yeah, recruitment is definitely going to be something that we're going to need to do, because I think next season we have to be the favourites in this division. We really do. I think getting into the playoffs this season is what it's all about. Having that experience, whether it be a positive. I mean, you look at the top of League Two. You've Stockport, Wrexham, and Notts County, 3 teams that invested while they were in the National League, and that investment is now paying off in League Two, because that's where they did the work. If we went up this season into League Two via the playoffs just because we got lucky, we'd be nowhere near prepared for League Two next season. So for me, I think it's about getting into the playoffs, having an experience in the playoffs like Notts County did. All of those teams that are up top of League Two all failed in the playoffs in the National League before they went on to make it through. So this team has got to build character. This squad has got to build character. It's got to go on. It's got to go on that journey. We're not going to get it the way we want it. We're going to have to wait. But next season, after some experience in this division and hopefully a playoff experience, and with the recruitment, with the budget, with the manager, we've got to be. I think we've got to be looking to. And tell me if I'm wrong, Bonnie. Are my expectations wrong there? Are next season have we got to be again just like contenders for the playoffs? Definitely. Just sort of like being linked like this size of the club sort of overpowering the reality of the situation?
We've got no God-given right to expect to be up there just because of how big we are, how many fans we take, how loud we sing. I personally don't think we'll make the playoffs this year. I think yesterday proved that. I'd take a top 10 finish as a dramatic improvement on what we've had for the last 10 years. We normally finish 17th and we're happy with that, aren't we? We laugh when we get to 17th in the league, whichever league we're in. That's our natural position. 10th, 9th this season, 8th, miss out on the playoffs. But then next year, regroup, recruit correctly. And like you say, be the Chesterfield next season that they are being this season, and just go on a run and just get the games won and just get out of this league as quick as possible. And with, like you mentioned about Stockport, Wrexham and Notts County, I think that just shows the gap between League Two and the National League. Now that predominantly everyone's professional, the gap's not that big. And I fully expect us to put up a good performance at Newport next week, because I don't think they're a million. What are they? They're 10 positions above us or whatever it is, 12 positions in 13 positions in the pyramid. I think we could put up a good position, and I think we need the FA Cup run, to be honest. I think the third round has got to be crucial, and it's got to be like the old days where the FA Cup propped the club up, and we could. I'm not sure it's about
the gap. I mean, I think what that proved with County, Wrexham and Notts County is that clubs in the National League can attract the level of investment that is. I mean, the level of investment that went into Notts County, Wrexham and Stockport in the National League outstripped the investment of many League Two clubs, and I think that it's been the foundation of their current success in League Two. I would imagine that we've not seen it, but I would imagine that the spending since they've gone into League Two has tapered somewhat, because I think they've done a lot of their investing up like early doors, and I think they've set themselves up for success, if you know what I mean, and that success is continuing on. You want to say something, Andy, but you're on mute, mate, so unmute yourself.
I'm on mute, am I? Oh dear. So I'd agree with you. I think they probably have done a lot of their investment early if you look at who they signed in between getting promoted, but I think they spent a lot more than we looked at it last week, didn't we? Stockport spending in the year they went up was astronomical, and I suspect Wrexham's and Notts Counties was the same. They probably got more to spend than we have. Chesterfield have sort of done it incrementally, season by season, to get themselves where they are. We are 19 points behind Barnet after 18 games. We are miles away from the top of this league, and so in order to get us from where we are now into being the Stockport, Wrexham, Notts County, Chesterfield of next season, I think that's a 2-season step at the minute, possibly. So, we're not a million miles off the playoffs. It'd be great to think we could try and sneak in, possibly if Mickey Melling can make 1 or 2 additions, having shipped some players out over the course of the next few months. But, we're so far behind Barnet and everyone else in this league that I just think there's a little bit of a reality check for us. There's a long way to go, unfortunately. And with the benefit of hindsight now, we've wasted one summer, haven't we? Really? Yeah. And we should have been in a better position than we are now, and that's.
But on the other side of that, I mean, it's kind of. Yeah, we've not got to where we would aspire to have been and where we would like to have ideally been. But I think at the same time, the club has moved forward. Do you know what I mean? So we have to look at it. It all comes back. We've had this conversation before about whether your glass is half empty or half full. If you look at where we started the season prior, it was we are moving forward, but like you said, it's incremental, and it always will be incremental. We were never going to go from being what we were last season to being the title winners, but we all expected us to be further forward than we are. So yeah, it's frustrating, but we can see that there are improvements on the pitch, off the pitch, etc., etc. So
yeah, I guess the sort of the glass. So I've taken the glass half empty approach by pointing out how far in front Barnet are. I guess the glass half full approach is we gave Aldershot an absolute thumping at the start of the season, and they were a poor side, weren't they?
Yeah.
And they've lost 7, so they've lost 2 more than we have, but they sit 7th currently, 4 points in front of us. So it's not like there is an enormous gap between us currently and the likes of Altrincham, Halifax, Aldershot, Gateshead, who's sitting in around those, and Rochdale. Obviously, we beat Rochdale last week.
I think you can do it in this league. You can do it in bursts, can't you? So you can go on 6-game unbeaten runs. Looks like what we've done, in a week under Thompson. We went from bottom 4 to, easy, comfortable table because we won 3 games in a row. And you can do it in this league. It is a bad league. Everyone can beat everyone. And I think we just need, like I say, it comes down to consistency. We just need to get a bit of consistency and make yesterday the start of another league run, another 8 unbeaten, win 5, win 4. And as long as you're not dropping points and you're beating the only thing that makes me worry is we haven't really played the Wokins, the Barnets. We played Chesterfield right at the start of the season. I think we got away with that one, but those that are up there, we've struggled against Maidenhead, we struggled against Dagenham.
Well, if I look at the table now, the only team above us we've not played is Barnet, and they're second.
They're coming up, aren't they?
Yeah, and then sort of the other teams we've got to play yet are beneath us or in and around us: Eastleigh, Woking, played Dagenham, haven't they? Ebbsfleet.
Got Ebbsfleet. Yeah, coming.
Yeah,
it just shows. I mean, we don't know, do we? We don't know how we're going to get what kind of performance we're going to get off and who we play. Almost doesn't really matter. Like we've got Woking on a terrible run, Hartlepool are on a terrible run. Barnet are on a good run. Halifax are on a great run. They've won 4 out of the last 5. it's like you said, Bonnie. It kind of depends. Like, are they just about hitting a good run or just about hitting a bad run? The opposition that you're about to play, because it does seem to be sort of ebbs and flows throughout the whole league, not just us.
I think the biggest thing in this league, and I don't think under Unsworth and even under Mellon, we have if you score first in this division, just that's the key to most games. Just score first and then score again. And there isn't teams in this. Maybe Chesterfield, you could go 1-0 up against them and they might come back and beat you, but there isn't. You know what I mean? In this division, the first goal's key, and I don't think we go all out sometimes just to get that first goal, especially playing at home when the crowd's behind you, and we just don't seem to. I think we went for it yesterday. Don't get me wrong. Alamo puts that volley in first 5 minutes, and it's a completely different game for me. It's probably a comfortable 2-3-0 home win. But they're the breaks, and going back to your favourite word, fine margins. If that goes in, and we probably win comfortably yesterday, but.
It's where you said earlier as well. It was about you think we're all right at the back, and I think probably I'd agree with you. We had looked all right, but we have shipped 8 goals in the last 3 games.
It was since we started talking about how good the defensive foundation on the pod was. Like, look, and then it was like shipped all these goals in the last 3 games. So
and it could have been 7 on Tuesday as well if it weren't for Hudson. So
it could have been plenty on Tuesday. Yeah, I mean the goal line clearances and all sorts, weren't there? It was ridiculous, but. There's a lot of work. The crowd was good yesterday. There was a good turnout from the home fans. The atmosphere wasn't brilliant, but it got going a bit when we scored. But I think I just hope that everyone can just kind of like be patient and stay with it now, and have an understanding of where we're at and how much work there is to do. And as long as the players are going out and giving their all every week, then we can get behind it, but we can't accept the kind of performance we saw on Tuesday night against Fowl, nor should we. That's like Mickey Mellon said about Hudson being one of the few to come out with any credit. That none of them came out of that game with any credit, really. It was just an abysmal performance, and that just cannot be tolerated. And hopefully Mickey Mellon is the kind of manager that, when he addresses that, does so in a way that players respond, and looking at the way that they responded yesterday, you have to say that seems to be the case. So I'm still positive. I still think we're heading in the right direction. It's just we just have to wait and see how long it takes.
I wonder if Mickey Mellon's lad is called Michael and plays for Burnley. He's like 19-year-old kid, plays for Burnley. He's on loan at Morecambe. Scored a hat-trick yesterday for Morecambe.
Really? All right.
Do see me get his lad in.
Yeah. 19-year-old lad scoring a hat-trick in League 2. That's good. That's good going.
Yeah. So he sounds like a prospect. We're talking about the FA Cup. Did you see? I agree with Bonnie. We're getting into the third round and getting a plum draw to earn some money to help the coffers and all that sort of stuff.
And also, Andy, we're of that age, aren't we, where the magic of the third round FA Cup draw, it's still a thing, isn't it? It's so exciting being in that draw. I don't know if it's lost on some younger people or whatever these days, because they're always kind of putting down the FA Cup. But just to be in that third round draw is a really special thing. So yeah, absolutely, fingers crossed.
It should be great to hopefully Newport. They won yesterday. Hopefully, change a couple of players. They could do bringing Kyle Jameson back in for us next week. Well, did you see news the other day that that the FA Cup is soon to drop all replays beyond round 3? So has
that been confirmed though?
Not. I don't think so. But this is the Premier League again, trying to push for the replays to be scrapped. Also trying to push for 2-legged League Cup semi-finals to be scrapped. They're just horrible, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're just trying to remove anything they can to suit themselves.
Yeah, they are.
What's better than getting fighting for a draw and getting a replay and bringing a big club back to your place? And if they get rid of that, that's just
absolutely. Or you've got a team that you're never going to beat, but you've got them at home, and then you manage to get a replay at their place, and then you've got you're going out there and you're going to get thumped, but you've got that payday, and it's so important because they won't give you enough money. They won't let the money trickle down, and then they won't stop you from earning it in a traditional way of like actual big football matches. They're all right bunch of bastards, aren't they? They really are. I think if you're a fan of a big club listening to this, I'd love the fans of big clubs to actually fight on our side sometimes of the smaller clubs and kick up a fuss.
It's the elitist mentality, and they don't believe that football exists outside the Premiership, and it's wrong, really, because it does, and it's a good product.
Right then, Bonnie, are you have you been doing some Latics mind revision?
I have. I've done a little bit, but I'm hoping that some of the questions are got some 90s, late 80s, but anything last 5 or 6 years, I've got amnesia because it's been that numb. I've blocked it all out. So let's see.
I'm just having a skim read now of the mix that have come out of the Paul Prendergast computer. So you'll have to concentrate on the ones that are in your domain.
Yeah.
Advice, as always, if you don't know it, move on. Just keep going through the questions and get to one. You might get to one that you know quickly. Don't procrastinate. Best of luck. Here we go.
Who replaced Ian Dowie as Latics first team manager?
Mick Wadsworth.
Brian Talbot. Where did Les Pogliacomi end the 2005-2006 season?
Blackpool.
Correct. Who knocked Latics out of the FA Cup in the playoff season of 02-03?
Pass.
Which striker did Latics sign from Solihull Moors in the summer of 2011?
Matt Smith.
Correct. Which future Latics manager scored a brace against Latics in Joe Royal's very last game of his first tenure?
John Sheridan.
No, it was Paul Dickov for Arsenal in a League Cup replay. Who was Latics' top scorer in 2008-2009?
Lee Hughes.
Correct. Latics' record win is 11-0 v Southport on Boxing Day 1962. What was the score when Latics took on Chester City in January 1952 at Boundary Park?
7-5.
It was 11-2. Which former Bury and Sheffield United goalkeeper arrived on loan in November 2014?
It's gone. Pass. I was going to say Gary Kelly.
Which defender did Latics sign on loan from Fulham in August 2003?
Mark Hudson.
Correct. Who did Latics sign from Grimsby Town in early 1987?
Scott McGarvey.
Kevin Moore. I've started, so I'll finish. Centre-back Mark Arbour had a short spell at Latics. Which country was he an international for?
Canadian.
South African.
South Africa.
I'm not sure you had started then, Andy.
I'd just begun to say the word as the beat.
Was it a breath like that?
Yeah.
Okay. It's just a bit of adjudicating there, but that's what you got it wrong anyway, so it don't matter.
So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 correct. That's pretty
decent
good.
effort. Yeah.
Decent effort. Is it? You had 1, 2 passes. So I'll go through the passes. First pass was who knocked Latics out of the FA Cup in the playoff season of 02-03. I couldn't remember this.
No idea.
Cheltenham Town. Although the next pass I would have got. Which former Bury and Sheffield United goalkeeper arrived on loan in November 14, Matt?
I don't know. I can't remember. I know I'm going to know who it is when you say it, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Paddy Kenny.
Paddy Kenny, that's the fella. Yeah.
And then he was in goal when we got beat 7-0 away at MK Dons.
Yeah, that's the fella.
MK Dons, yeah.
4 right.
Yeah, good effort that, Bonnie. Got some good ones there. That was a good one you got with Matt Smith, remembering that we signed him from Solihull Moors.
Yeah, I've retained it over the years, but it's just, every now and then I just get a burst and it comes out. So, I'm happy with that for.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, definitely.
Enough at playoffs, I think, at the end of the season.
What's the story? What's the story with leaderboard this season, Andy? Have we got a leaderboard? Have you
I'll update the leaderboard. I'll send it to you, and you can tweet a graphic. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, Paul Prendergast on top. He got about 8 on the opening day, didn't he?
Yeah. Everyone's chasing. He don't count. He's bad. He's bad. He's the quizmaster. He is the Latics mind, and we just chip into it or try. That was a good effort. And FA Cup on Saturday, Newport away. Think we'll get the job done.
I think it's a winnable game. It wouldn't surprise me if it's a draw and we have to bring them back on a Tuesday night. But I don't, it's as bad as the draw was. I don't think it's as bad as we all wanted Kerrs and Ashton at home, but maybe have that for the second round.
This is the thing, isn't it, with Latics? I've got. I do the When the Blues Prediction League, and I normally do quite well in it. But this year I'm right near the bottom because I got 1 week. You after Rochdale filed away. I was like, go on, I'll go for a win there. Yeah, we'll put. And you're thinking it's impossible to predict what you're going to get. So we could go down there and put on a performance and win, and equally you could go down there and get beat 4-0. I've got no idea what's coming.
I think he's more likely to play the system, a similar system to the one he played against Rochdale. I can't see him setting up with a 4-4-2. I think if Hogan's back and Raglan and McGahey is back and fit, I think he's probably more likely to play McGahey in that holding midfield role and probably sacrifice one of the strikers again. Do you think he's going to do that, or try with he'll have a bit of time to actually work on that with them maybe over the week or whatever? Either that or it's just one of those. It's the FA Cup. Let's see if we can, if it's 4-3 one way or the other, let's just give it a go. It'll be interesting to see how he approaches the game.
Yeah.
But, in some ways you've nothing to lose, and in other ways, obviously, you're out of the cup and that's it then, isn't it? Oh, we've got the FA Trophy, haven't we?
Yeah, it's in December, that, isn't it? Yeah.
So I know which competition we're most likely to get to Wembley in anyway, out of the two. So, but yeah, I mean, it's nice to have a bit of cup interest in it, just to get you through the cold winter months, heading towards the third round in January. But we'll see. So, any other business, Andy, before we wrap it up?
No, I've done it all. All my notes are clear.
Well, that's not very much on any other business this week, is it?
No.
Pretty much just focused on the football, didn't we?
Yeah.
No off-field shenanigans we need to discuss. No huge complaints. It's just a case of waiting for Latics to get better on the field and talking about football and players.
It will come.
Yeah. No, it's nice though. It's nice just take a moment to just appreciate that. Because it's not always been the case, has it?
No piss boils at the moment.
Oh, did you see, actually, did you see Rio Ferdinand tweet pictures of himself? I don't know what event he'd gone to. He'd gone to an event, I think, there's
a video of him at Fury's fight last night, and our older leader, chairman and commander in the background, isn't he?
That's right, yeah. So there's basically, Matt's looking quizzy, you've not seen it. Is that where was that? I've not paid that.
It's at the Fury's backstage at the Fury fight last night in Saudi Arabia. So
Saudi Arabia, yeah.
Yeah, Ferdinand's with Ronaldo.
Ferdinand's with Ronaldo, like the original Brazilian Ronaldo.
Brazilian, Fat Ronaldo, yeah.
Fat Ronaldo.
Figo's wife, I think. And then just in the background, it's just the most random video. Lemzigham's orchestrating everything, shuffling everyone in position, taking photos. And
taking photographs
of
them.
Mad. It's mad.
Absolutely.
Abdallah,
yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's got a clue who he is. I imagine they're all there thinking he's just a waiter or something. He's taking a picture for him, but he's trying to...
Have you noticed? He looks very skinny. He looks like he's he looks like he's not been eating since he left Oldham. So he must be having an Oldham star anymore. So yeah, he looked very gaunt. But yeah, it's the most random thing I've seen. What's he doing there? Why is he there?
Right. Well, at least he's in Saudi Arabia, taking photographs of former footballers, and that's it as far as we're concerned. So, right, brilliant. Nice way to end it. Thanks for getting involved, Bonnie. Appreciate it, mate.
Thanks for having me.
Andy, thanks for all your efforts as usual.
No worries.
And we'll see you lot on Wednesday for the phone-in and see what you've got to say about it all. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to the Boundary Park Alert System, a QPod production hosted and produced weekly by Matt Dean, Andy Halliwell and Dave Bradley. QPod is Oldham's only dedicated podcast production company, and if you'd like to learn more about how podcasting can help take your brand to the next level, visit kupod.co.uk. A huge thank you goes to all those people who subscribe to the podcast on Spotify. We really appreciate you all. Please visit oafcpodcast.co.uk and click Be a Supporter or find the link in the show notes if you'd like to help us fund the show. It's only $2.99 per month to subscribe, but if you'd rather make a one-off donation, please visit buymeacoffee.com/OAFC podcast or click the link on our website. Don't miss the Latics football phone-in every Wednesday live from 8:30pm. Please visit youtube.com/@OAFC podcast and do hit subscribe while you are there. You can also follow and interact with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and TikTok @OAFC podcast. Big thanks go to Eileen Finnegan for writing our excellent weekly blog, which we encourage you to read on our website every Saturday morning, and also to Paul Prendergast for providing us with all the Latics Mind questions. The title music for the show is by Manchester DJ and producer Starion, and for more information visit bandcamp.com/Red Laser Records. If you'd like to be a guest or contribute to the show, we would love to hear from you. Until then, see you next time.